Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica. And my face is somewhat back to normal.
It is, it looks so good. I haven't seen you all week and you look pretty much back to normal.
Yes.
Yeah, finally. So, what are we doing today?
Well, we are doing our June wrap up. And yes, we do know it is like a couple days early, but with the 4th of July holiday and both of us having different vacations planned with our families, we're just having to switch our schedule around a little bit. So June wrap up is coming at you a couple days early.
Yep. All right. So, how was your June?
Well, my June was really busy, so I didn't get a lot of reading in, and I didn't have a lot of 5 stars. So, my 5 stars, I feel, I will say this: 2 of my books that were in my mid-year wrap up were read in June, and they flopped positions on my June end of year. But I feel very good about my June end of year, my June end of month. I feel very good about my June now, the way I have it ordered.
Okay. So, how
I
many
will not have a nervous breakdown
No, please. You'll be okay.
like I did during mid-year wrap up.
So, how many books did you read and how many 5 stars did you have?
Oh, I only read 25 books this month.
Okay.
Which I say I only read, like, I know that lots of people read just a few books a month, and that is fantastic. I just normally am in the 30s. I'm falling way behind, but I mean, it is, I'm not losing sleep over it.
Yeah. You've been catching up on your Dateline.
Yeah, I watched some Dateline episodes. You know, you realize that you have a Dateline problem when the episode says it's new and you're like, I feel like I've already seen this one.
Yeah. I used to watch Snapped all the time, like Lifetime
Oh,
Snapped.
yes, I loved that.
Yeah.
Is that still on?
I don't know, but they did one on those people that we know from back home.
Yeah.
So I own that episode, but on my Kindle. But it was that was kind of getting to that point where I was like, have I seen this one before? Because I used to watch them all the time, especially when I was pregnant with my kids and stuff. But
yeah, when I was in my accident and couldn't walk, I watched a lot of Homicide Hunter, Detective Kenda. Oh, I loved that. I watched like 10, I think there were like 10 seasons. Just watched all of it.
You do what you gotta do. Okay, so how many 5 stars did you have?
4.
Okay, mine was less. I only had 3 5 stars. So I don't
know what happened.
I don't know.
Maybe I was real picky this month.
Yeah, I read 33 books this month. I only had 3 5 stars. I mean, I've been camping this last week and I read a ton of books and nothing was a 5 star. So, all right. So let's talk about them.
Okay.
All right. Go. So, for those who haven't watched this before, we go in order from 5 to 1. But before we get started with that,
so make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are getting very close to giving away these. Whoa, what happened? I'm like already confused.
These on my side.
These Calla Reed books, you definitely want them. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And we give away free books all the time. So once you've hit subscribe, you are entered into any of the giveaways that we're doing.
Yeah, which is going to be fun. We've got lots of once we give these books away, we have fun things planned as well.
Yeah, we have lots of stuff happening.
Lots of stuff. You want to be a part of it, so make sure you hit it. Yay, books. That's right.
Yeah. So, okay. And then also comment below and let us know what has been your top read of June.
All right, so you ready to start?
I'm ready for you to start.
I can start. I'm going to start with my number 5.
Okay.
So number 5, my 5th top book of the month for me is Stone Vows by Samantha Christie. So Mandy and I both read a Samantha Christie book earlier this month, which was The Quiet Beautiful Things. And in that book, the heroine is deaf. But we found out that the parent story of the heroine is another Samantha Christie book. So I went and found that and I read that. And that's what this is. So this is her parents. So this is about Elizabeth and Dr. Kyle. So Kyle is a second year resident, and he's working at this hospital. He's doing his, they kind of change from section to section when they're doing the residency. And so he is on his OB stint. And before that happens, like 2 weeks before that happens, he's in the ER, and this girl comes in thinking that she's in labor, and it turns out she just has placenta previa, and they send her home. But there's something about this girl. He's really into brunettes. This one's blonde. This girl looks nothing like who he's into. And so he's like, okay, there's just something about her, but, if you need help, call me. And then he gets a call a few weeks later when he's on the OB, getting ready to do his OB stint. And it's this girl, and she's bleeding, and he actually goes and meets her at the hospital. And the doctor that is his, the person who's over him is like, well, she's going to be your only patient. And so he gets to know her. She's pregnant. She's skittish. There's something going on with her. And so this is their story. I really like this one. This one it was a 4.5 for me. It wasn't a full 5-star, but I listened to it. I loved it. I love their relationship. There's a lot more to the story than what meets the eye. So, okay. What was your number 5?
Well, my number 5 was Quiet Beautiful Things by Samantha Christie.
All right.
The book you were just talking about. So
yes.
We have Ellie and Blake. So Ellie is the baby referenced in Jessica's book. And Ellie is deaf, and she just moves to a new town to work at a deaf school. And she is assigned this guy, Blake, and his daughter. So Blake has been living it up as a bachelor. He is kind of described as like, he gets around a lot and is just enjoying life. And that's just kind of where he's at when all of a sudden he gets a knock on his door and is basically like, well, I mean, he's not basically, he is just told, hey, you might be the father to this 4-year-old. We need you to do a DNA test. And if you are the father, we really need you to take custody because her mom's in rehab. And so he takes the DNA test, and it turns out the little girl is his daughter. And she is deaf, but her mom never got her any help. They never saw a pediatrician or anything like that. And so she is unable to communicate. And that's where Ellie then comes in by being assigned to the family. And Ellie is not impressed with Blake and that he has a little girl who can't communicate. And she kind of goes after him a little bit until she finds out, like, wait, he just found out about her and is trying to right all these wrongs. And so this book is their story, obviously, but there's a lot more else going on in Ellie's life, and that makes things a lot more complicated, shall we say. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed this one. Yeah. I've always enjoyed Samantha Christie's books.
I have too. I love her, which I don't think you've read these ones before yet, but she has a firefighter series. There's 3 books about 3 different people. I loved it. One of them is Amnesia, so I'm not sure why you haven't picked those ones up yet.
I'm not sure that you've told me about them.
Oh, they were in our firefighter video from years ago, from
years ago. Yeah,
feels like it was years ago when we first started. But I like Samantha Christie. I've never read a Samantha Christie book that I haven't really enjoyed.
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap this up so I can go find this Amnesia book you've been hiding from me all this time.
Oh yeah. Okay. So book number 4, my number 4 book for the month, was one that was highly anticipated for me, and that was Snapdragons by January Rain. This is the 2nd book in her Monster Stalker series. I do think you could rate it as a standalone, but trust me, just go read Honeysuckles first and then come read this one, because you're going to get more references. You're going to get it. It's just better. So this one is about Mickey and Rhett. So Mickey is our heroine, and she obviously checked triggers because there's some things going on here that are pretty rough to get through, especially in the beginning, because she is in a relationship where she is being physically abused by her boyfriend. Like, he has her chained in rooms and has to move the chain with her for her to go to a different room. He's horrible. He's a horrible, horrible guy. She breaks free. She gets free from him, and she goes on the run with her brother and sister. And her sister's name is Minnie, by the way. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but we should have asked January that when we interviewed her. Anyhow, but they go on the run together. They end up in this small town. and she's trying to rebuild her life. She buys a home. She's going to fix it up so that she can, really get out of this mindset that she's in after being abused for so long. And in her yard is a gargoyle statue that may or may not move from certain spots throughout, like from day to day. And Rhett, who's our hero, was a mechanic, and he was down on his luck. And one day he was kidnapped and forced into a program where he was spliced with DNA. And that is kind of pretty much, like he's got all different kinds of monsters in him. One being a gargoyle. You guys get my drift. So one of them being a jellyfish. One's a crocodile. And it's crocodile, jellyfish, gargoyle, and a ghost. Loved it. Oh, I wouldn't think that this would be a thing, but this is a thing. Okay, this is a good thing. So go read that one. So what was your number 4?
Okay, so my number 4 read of the month is Time for Us by L.M. Halloran. And this is about, are you switching me over? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
This is about Lucas and Celeste. And so we saw Celeste in Room for Us, and she's one of Zoe's really good friends. And now we're actually several more years into the future when we get Celeste's story. And Celeste has her son is now almost, I think he's 12 years old, almost 13 in the book. And her son's dad, so she got married, like she married her high school sweetheart, and he was killed in the war, right, while she was still pregnant. And so he never actually met his son. And Lucas was their best friend. And when her husband gets killed, Lucas basically comes to the funeral and then disappears. And she's heartbroken that her husband has died. And she's heartbroken that his best friend has abandoned them when, like, she needs them. Like, she needs him. Like, she's pregnant. Like, what? Like, they were best friends too. Like, it's just awful. So we're in the present, and Lucas has come back to town to deal with some things in his own personal life, as well as he has become a very successful developer, and he has purchased this camp and at this lake nearby that was very special to him and Celeste and Jeremy. And so he's going to be developing it, and he runs into Celeste and is trying to kind of right what went wrong between the two of them. This book has like the angst, but usually whenever I feel angst in a book, I'm always feeling it for the heroine, like where it's like, oh my gosh, like what's he gonna do? Is he gonna fall in love too? But this time it was actually him. Like I was feeling for him, and the angst was all coming from his point of view. And I just absolutely loved having those different feelings while reading a book. So I absolutely loved this one. It is definitely a story of heartbreak and second chances, but oh, it's so good. So good.
Okay. Well, book number 3 for the month for me. It's Quiet Beautiful Things by Samantha Christie. And since Mandy has already talked about that one, I'm not going to do it.
I'm sorry.
No, I knew that we would have, and I'm pretty sure that one of our top ones is the same as well. So I think there's going to be some crossover here.
Oh, okay.
So why don't you tell us what your number 3 book for the month was?
My number 3 book, I don't have my book open yet because I thought I had a second. I know. I just was going to open it while you were
talking, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, it did not happen. Oh my gosh. And now I'm panicking. I can't find it. Where'd it go? Okay. My number 3 read for the month of June is Come Break My Heart Again by C.W. Farnsworth. So we have Elle and Writer, and I'm going to give you a little snippet about what the book is about, but really just go in blind. It's so good. So we have Second Chance, we have First Love, we have Forced Proximity, and we definitely have Angsty. And so this is told in dual point of view and dual timelines. And we don't understand what happened. Something has happened between Elle and Writer, and they have not seen each other in a long time, but we don't know why. And I don't want to tell you anything else. It's just incredibly good. But really, I went in blind. I signed up for the ARC because I really enjoy C.W. Farnsworth writing. So I signed up with the ARC just knowing very little about the book, and I was blown away. So I really want you guys to read it, and I want you to go in blind. Just know that it's very angsty, and it is incredible. So if you like second chances, which is apparently a theme for me, in my top 5 this in my top what the last 2 books I talked about. I'm sorry. Uh you are going to really enjoy this. So, Second Chance, Forced Proximity. Very good.
Okay. All right. So my number 2 book was an audio that came out this month that I'd been putting off reading because I wanted to listen to the audio when it came out. And I don't know why I put off reading it, because I consumed these books when I first discovered them last summer. But it's Burned Dreams by Neva Altai. I don't think I've read a Neva Altai book that has not ended up on my top 5 of whatever that month was, because they're all amazing. And every time I pick one up, I'm like, oh, this is my new favorite. Oh, this is my new favorite.
I have the same problem, and I think I actually just put the whole series in my top for 23 when I did that.
Yep. Yeah, because it was worth it. They were.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about Burned Dreams. This one is number 7 in the Perfectly Imperfect series. I had to look because the number's on the side. 7 in the Perfectly Imperfect series. This is about Ravenna and Alessandro, or as he's called in this book quite often. So Alessandro has been looking to get revenge for something that happened to him for 8 years. And so he's been working his way up in the mafia, and he's been now given the job of being a bodyguard to Ravenna. So Ravenna was forced to marry this mafia guy about I don't know how long before this starts. It hasn't been that long. And the mafia guy is very mean to her. She was forced to marry him because of a debt that her brother had. And so in order to save her family, she married this horrible mafia guy who beats her and is very cruel to her. And so then you have who's been brought in as her bodyguard, but he has an ulterior motive, and his plans are to kill her husband, but to also kill her in the process, because it wouldn't be revenge without that. And that's pretty much all I'm going to tell you about it. I love these books so much. This one, it was so good. The audio was great. If you haven't read it yet, I'm not sure what you're doing with yourself. So,
That's what I've been saying to you for months.
Well, I was waiting for the audio. I read for the first half, and then I was telling you about it when you jumped on and read them all, and then you got ahead of me, and now I'm like, I want to wait for the audio. She has great audio for them. So, yeah. Okay, what's your number 2?
So is my number 2 going to be also your number 2?
Your number 2 is probably going to be a number 1.
Oh, you just did number 2. Okay.
Yeah, and I have the physical book, so we can both stay on. You can talk about a hold the book.
Well, we can both talk about it.
Alrighty then.
Okay, so number 2 for me is The Cabin by
which is mine. Yeah, sorry.
Wylder.
And
it's your number 1?
My number 1.
Okay.
Top of the month.
I actually don't even want to talk about it because I get very emotional even thinking about it. So we have Nadia and Adrian. They have this ultimate love story. I totally fell in love with them as a couple. I love Adrian.
I was mad at Adrian because Adrian is sick. Adrian is dying, and he doesn't tell her. Which
he doesn't tell her at first because he wants her to still live her life.
I get it, but he doesn't tell her until it's literally the end. It's weeks out from the end. But he's also an author. So he writes one last book, which is her love story, so that she can have another love story. Because he knows
right.
she's a nurse, and he knows that she's either going to work herself to death once he goes, or she's going to just give up and follow him in death. And so he writes her one last love story.
Yes.
And sets up a love story for her. So good. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just one of those it's an epic romance.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it'll rip your heart out. Apparently, Mandy's heart is still ripped out. She has not recovered.
Yes.
So,
oh my God, I'm gonna cry just thinking about it.
So that was my number one. That's your number two. What is your number one?
I can't. Oh, that book.
The book was good.
Okay.
Okay.
My number one, and I got the arc. So the rest of you, this comes out June 30th. So you guys go get this book. Is book number 3 in the Cold Neptune series, and it is Whispers of Us by Karen Crompton.
I just got home from camping. So Karen, when you watch this, I haven't even started it yet because I just got it. But oh my God. Okay, tell me all about it.
Okay, so I love this book. It is now my favorite Karen Crompton book. So I would highly recommend that you go read book 1 and 2, like read the series in order. It is an incredible series, so you will not be disappointed. So in this book, we get Cassie and Quinn's story. And this is it's an emotionally gripping tale of heartbreak and love. Yet Karen, so I cried right away in this book, like full on. That is not a thumbs. Why?
Put your pencil
Because I
down.
had the pencil in my hand.
Yeah.
Okay. I cried. And then I was reading this book in a coffee shop by myself while I was waiting in between my son's basketball games. And I was like laughing out loud. I probably looked unhinged. But oh my gosh. So it's hilarious. It will make you cry. So Cassie, we start the book right off with Cassie finding out she's pregnant. And then we go back in time a little bit and see how she ends up in this situation of being pregnant. And her and Quinn's story kind of unfolds as she goes back and kind of recounts the whole story. So I am usually not a huge fan of like the whole secret baby or surprise pregnancy. So this is surprise pregnancy. And I just don't really seek it out that much. But this one was so incredibly different from any surprise pregnancy books I've ever read. It was so well done. Like Karen just knocks it out of the park with this. So we have Cassie who's finding out she's pregnant and she's got to figure out like what she's going to do. But we're also like seeing the whole story of how the two of them ended up in this situation. It is so good. I don't want to give anything away, but this always has the great Karen Crompton twist that you don't see coming. And it's just, she writes so incredible. It's like nothing I've ever read before. So do yourself a favor and go grab this. There's a reason it's my number 1 this month, and you will see it up in the charts when we do our end of the year in 6 months. I'm already going to call that this will be in the top.
All right.
It was incredible.
Yeah, we have to finish this so I can go read it now.
My mid-year wrap-up would look very different if I had already read this book.
Mm-hmm. And I personally like a surprise pregnancy. So
I will be curious to see if you like this one because it's very different.
Okay. All right. So that was our June. Those were the top 10 books that we have. And there's actually not even top 10 because there were 2 crossovers. So
yes.
So those are our top 8 for June.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And also hit that notification button so you know when we drop surprise videos, because we do that a lot. And I think we can go ahead and say our next interview is going to be
Kay Webster. Yes. We had the best time talking with her. So that will be out on the 3rd. And we know it's the day before the 4th of July. So just make sure you go and watch that, or come back and watch it if you're out doing 4th of July fun stuff. So
yeah, it was a great interview. It
was an awesome interview.
I'm very excited for you guys to see it.
Yeah. So yay. All right, guys. So go watch that. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.